Yeah, I don't know that we're constantly compared. I haven't noticed us being constantly compared to Alabama. I wouldn't feel that way. I feel like we're compared against our own success and the success we've had since being there. I think we're one of the only teams in the country to finish 7 years in a row, maybe, or 6 years in a row in the top 7. So not just about championships, it's being relevant every year. That our positive mindset comes from we create that ourselves by what we do and say to each other, and Kamari's a big part of that because he is a positive young man. Yeah, it's so funny you say that because I've never brought that up to our team. I think our team would laugh at me if I said we were going to go 7-5. So there's a mistake out there somewhere that's ever been brought up by me. Now, I've heard quotes from players that said that. They might have read it somewhere. They might have believed it, but it never came from me because I'm a big self-confidence coach. So the entire offseason last year, I told them how good they could be because all they heard about was how many players they lost. And I pumped that through and through that we had a tremendous team and we're going to be a really good team and they're going to go out and play competitive football. But I don't get into the narratives because once you start using that to motivate your team, you're going to struggle. I would say talk to any of the players within our organization, talk to the retention rate that we keep with our players. Our players respect the fact that they're under a microscope and that they always will be as athletes, but we've got one of the highest character, highest GPA, one of the best teams we've had. So I'm very confident about our team and our culture. Extremely important, border rivalry, a lot of ties between the two schools, the Vince Dooley-Pat Dye connection, a lot of respect for Auburn and Hugh. There's a lot of great rivalries. We seem to be, I think somebody told me this once, that we're the only school that has 5 contiguous states. So go figure. You end up with a lot of rivalries when you touch 5 states. So priorities will be based on what the SEC office thinks best. I don't have a lot of input on that. I kind of just deal with the hand that we get. For us, I really don't care where the game's played. I want what's best for the student athletes, and I want what's best for our program. Unfortunately, if you consider that to be a premier matchup and a national game, there's no recruit that will ever take an official visit or get to visit the campus while the game's in Jacksonville. That's just physically impossible. So both universities, not just Georgia, lose out on an opportunity to showcase their campus in the greatest light there is. And to me, that's really important. Every university I've been at, you had that feature game that everybody in the country wanted to come watch. Now, with that said, in the ever-changing landscape and the speeding up of recruiting, more kids are getting recruited in June in official visits, and they're finishing, like right now, the number of commitments we have. So less effect the season has on coming to games. So that's probably less than some. And with the renovation of the stadium, we're probably going to get to see how it is playing at a different location in the next 2 years. Come play it. I mean, I'd love to invite any team in the country who wants to play in the SEC. Come right ahead, And I don't get into comparisons year to year, but I'm a big believer in opening with a great game, a great kickoff game. We've done that repeatedly. We've scheduled that out. I think we got UCLA, Ohio State, FSU, Louisville, all in coming years. Clemson next year. We had Oregon, and we had Clemson before that. So a lot of things I can control. I don't control the narrative that people create outside of our building. Well, I'm not looking forward to playing him because he's really difficult to prepare for and against. I know firsthand how smart he is. He's one of the best offensive minds in football. He sees things from the field as a quarterback and a coordinator. He communicates those things really well to his players. He prepares his team well. I have a lot of respect for Lane, and you say, what is our relationship? It's a friendship that we work together. We worked hard together. Like we had the same goal, and I thought he did a tremendous job at Alabama. He made my job easier because he scored a lot of points. And I appreciate the friendship that we've been able to maintain, and that he doesn't let recruiting, whether we're recruiting the same person, come between us. It's bigger than that. Yeah, Javon's a guy that had a chip on his shoulder. He was another not highly recruited guy. He loves football, and he embraces a selfless role. And he came in the COVID class. So there's another evidence of a guy like Kamari and a guy like Brock Bowers that bought into the team concept, loves it. He loves to eat off the floor. He likes that saying. He's a hard worker that overcomes a lot. And a lot of people didn't have high accolades on him, but we liked the intrinsic character in him, and it's paid off because he's a tough physical leader in our team. Read books, talk to people, inherit and plagiarize from others that have done it before. We bring in outside sources. We bring in tons of outside speakers, and I'm sitting front and center when they speak to take notes and grow as a coach, because I do think it's important to keep your message fresh. I do think it's important in this day and age to do things with your student athletes in terms of 60-second messages, because they can't last much longer. But we have a guy by the name of Drew Brandon with Amplos he's out of Greenville, South Carolina. He works with our team, and he works with me. And he's a sports psychologist, and he does a tremendous job.